Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled China Lake Naval Air Base. All right, the name that I refer to this area is China Lake, but it does go by other military acronyms. It technically goes by the following. It goes by NAWCWD, NASWA. That stands for Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division. Does that make sense? Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division. And contained within this 1.1 million acre land, which is occupying three different California counties. Three counties in California: Kern County, San Bernardino County, and Inyo counties. That's three counties that are required to make up the Naval Air Weapons Station that officially began doing business in 1943 during World War II. However, I can assure you that military operations were going on in this high desert property in the Mojave Desert. The elevation out there is typically around 2,300 feet above sea level, but it's mountainous, and so it can go up and down, undulating. It's hard to measure it exactly over a million acres of land, but there it is in the desert. The main gate to get into this 1,100,000 acreage property is Ridgecrest, California. That is the main southern gate. It's 150 miles north of downtown Los Angeles, 150 miles to the north. So, yes, you go up to Santa Clarita and you take the road over to Lancaster and past Edwards Air Force Base, which originally was an Army base. And then you just keep going north past the town of Mojave north on Highway 395, and you will come to the town of Ridgecrest. Now, if you're wondering about the history out there, they followed the basic acumen and axiom of mining, metals, and military. Mining, metals, and military. Let me say it again, the three M's: mining, metals, and military forces. Because after the Spanish and the Mexicans were booted out, then the Union Army came in there and they mined for tin, for silver, for gold, for any old thing they could find, and they settled on borax. Then they brought in Chinese immigrants, and the Chinese mined borax that they found on a dry lake, which was named after themselves, China Lake. It was a dry lake, China Lake. It's also known as Little China Lake Operations because they had a processing center there, and they refined borax. And just north of that area is Ridgecrest, California, the main official gate. Now must be dozens of gates to get onto that property, but they're all secure and closed to the public. And Highway 395 actually cuts through the base. Um, and so it doesn't look like you're going through the base, but I assure you, you're 24/7 monitored along that highway. Where you'll come to the town of Independence is where Charlie Manson was arrested for dune buggy thefts and put into the jail in Independence from middle October until Thanksgiving, when he was transferred down to Los Angeles and charged with seven homicide murders, first degree, even though we all agree he wasn't there. He wasn't there. But he sat in that jail for about a month and a half, about 45 days in the Independence County Jail. Now, to give you some idea of, if Charlie Manson was military, I mean, it's not hard to guess. They picked him up at the Barker Ranch, which is next to the Meyer Ranch, which is next door to another ranch called the Paxton Ranch, Paxton Ranch. Those are all military mining facilities. They also, I believe, mine lithium out there too. So you've got three military mines and the borax operation, and you have Charlie Manson there for a couple of days before he was picked up by the Sheriff's Department of Eno County and put into the Independence Jail, which is approximately 80 miles from the Barker Ranch. I'm going to focus in on one of the highlights of China Lake in the northeast corner pocket of China Lake, or what we call the Naval Air Weapons Center for Warfare. Um, is this very steep canyon that's called Rainbow Canyon because of the mineral content of the rocky walls, the steep rocky walls of the canyon. And there is a vista point up there. It's off Highway 190. And off Highway 190, there's a pullout, and it's called Father Crowley Lookout. Father Crowley Lookout. And the distance from the Father Crowley Lookout, where you can watch military helicopters, cargo planes, fighter planes of every type and shape and size, do aerobatic tricks through this canyon, which is shaped in the form of a chicane. And everyone on the juxtaposition channel knows that a chicane means it's a left, right, left, or a right, left, right. In other words, it's three corners. Canyon is not straight, it's a chicane if you dive deep in the canyon. If you want to stay up above the canyon, you can make it a straight line. And the cargo planes, the big KC 47 Pegasus, they they're not fighter planes and they're not helicopters, so they're a little afraid to dive into that canyon. So they generally stay above the rocky walls of that canyon, but they're very impressive since they're so huge, ginormous. But anyway, every type of military plane that flies over my town every single friggin' day flies in Rainbow Canyon. It's been renamed Star Wars Canyon. It's also known as Jedi Transition Canyon because of the chicane. It's a left, right, left configuration. When you enter the canyon at the beginning, you've got to make a hard left, then you need to make a hard right, then the left back again, heading to Death Valley. Now, we're going to focus on a video called Death Valley Days, but bear in mind that Father Crowley Point, which is where this video was taped, is approximately 60 miles to the west of Death Valley. Death Valley is 60 miles to the east of the videos that I'm going to show you. Do watch, they're quite extraordinary. The sound is wicked scary. I don't know if that this video is going to depict for you the wicked sound, but those are the sounds that I hear every single day for the last 3.5 years in my town. Um, it's frightening, and I'm just conditioned to it now, and I can still pump out, videos. I've been making videos, 3,000 videos in 4 years, whilst I had helicopters and jets and big cargo jets dumping chemtrails on me and generally scintillating and exciting the particulates in the sky. That seems to be the purpose of all the airplane traffic. Most of it is just to stir up the pollution that's dumped from 18 to 20,000 feet above me. All right, so what I wanted you to know is they also have underground facilities out there on this property, 1,100,000 acres. They have in terms of buildings, they've built 2,132 buildings on the property. They've they've paved 400 miles of road. They have 1,850 dirt roads. I'm sure that the number is actually much higher than that because that the vehicles can go off-road too. So my point is they've run all the motorcycle riders out of there and they've run all the campers out of there and they've got 1.1 million acres of land that they can drop bombs and test, direct energy weapons as well as conventional weapons. But they have 6,520 human being employees out there. Only 620 of them work for the United States Navy. 620 Navy uh, soldiers or sailors, I guess we call the Navy sailors. There's only 620 sailors, but there's 4,166 civilian employees. There's 1,734 contract employees, people that work for Raytheon Missile Guidance, Bell Nokia Labs, General Dynamics, Northrop, um, those Hughes Space and Communications, those contractors all have offices of the 2,132 buildings. They have underground facilities that are not counted in those numbers that I've given you, and they've been operating out there since 1943. And the video I'm looking at showing you today is actually from 2018. It's pretty frightening video. It's pretty disturbing, if you ask me. All of these military jet airplanes and helicopters are already obsolete. That's the hilarious thing. They've spent trillions of dollars on Navy ships and jets and helicopters and turboprop planes, and none of them are necessary. You know, we're under 7G going to 8G technology. We have fully deployed satellites and CubeSats. We have fully deployed ring cameras and smart meters, and we have drones everywhere. There are just a million drones, minimum of a million drones out there called hummingbirds. And we have predator drones and we have surveillance drones. They have every type of drone you can imagine, including drones that will blow up and be bombs, like kamikaze pilot drones. We have those too. And it's every velocity, every viscosity, every vector, every yaw angle, every pitch, every roll, every angle can be simulated on China Lake in one of the bunkers, above ground and also below ground. They actually take different targets, which are human beings, jets, helicopters, etc., and then they suspend them from the ceiling, and then they examine all the ways you could kill the target, right? But I mean, you can do that with the direct energy weapon now, sound weapon, light weapon, photonics, sound weapon. You can blow their brains out with sound. You can blow their brains out with magnetic imagery, like the MRI machine at your hospital. You can do it like over radiating somebody, like Jackie Onassis Kennedy with a breast examination. You can give her excess radiation poisoning, right? Havana syndrome. The media calls Havana syndrome. They call it COVID, right? You can give people COVID in one of these facilities on China Lake. However, you can get Havana syndrome in your own neighborhood, in any room that has a wireless router, right? In fact, you can get cancer in 3 rooms away from your wireless router. So your cell phone, your smart TV, and your wireless router, and your ring camera or smart meter can all give you turbo cancer. You don't have to go to China Lake to get it. You can stay home and shelter in place and get COVID. All right. So, what I wanted to tell you is that we got San Bernardino County, Eno County, Kern County, and it's just 150 miles north of LA, but it extends much further north and to the east and west. And I think they've called this canyon Star Wars Canyon, Jedi Transition Canyon, but originally it was called Rainbow Canyon because of the pretty colors, including the purple hues of the walls of the canyon. And you should know that John Kennedy visited China Lake and watched the jets drop bombs and blow stuff up. Did that on June 7th, 1963. Just 4 months before he was murdered in Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. So 4 months before that, he went to this place, China Lake. He went to Ridgecrest. He flew in and he watched them blow stuff up. All right. So I'm not going to get into some. I have China Lake stories personally that I want to talk about. I will tell you that I've ridden my bicycle around the perimeter of Joshua Tree National Park. That's 800,000 acres, so it's not quite as large as China Lake, but it's close, right? It's 80% or it's 75% as big. And I rode my bike around there in 12 hours, 201 miles in 12 hours, mostly by myself, alone. Although there were times when I was in a group of 3 and 4 other riders for a while. Then we ended up splitting up. But that's pretty good pace. And there's 15,000 feet of climbing. It's not flat. I started out in 29 Palms, and 29 Palms is approximately 250 miles away from Father Crowley Outlook. All right, it's 200. So it's going to take you 4 hours drive to go from 29 Palms, where I did my bike ride. I started and finished there. That's at about 2,300 feet. It's the same elevation as Ridgecrest. Then I rode to Yucca Valley, which turns out it's 3,200 feet. So I didn't even remember climbing 1,000 feet. In my mind, it was flat as a pancake. It was rolling. It was rolling. But I never really perceived it as climbing. But apparently, I climbed 1,000 feet and didn't notice. Now, the next year I came back and I did a different route where I actually went into the park and went up to the highest point in Joshua Tree Park, which is at 5,800 feet in the park. And I went right up, there's an overlook up there atop Quail Mountain, which is at 5,814 feet. I got a flat tire and fixed my flat in the parking lot at the lookout on Quail Mountain, which I don't think is the tippy top, but it's really high up on Quail Mountain in the southeast corner of the park. It looks out toward Palm Springs. You can see Palm Springs in the distance. There's a lot of mountains in the area. You also see Highway 10, Santa Monica Freeway from the top. You can see almost anything from the top of 5,800 feet looking out at the high desert. And the high desert is averaging around 2,500 to 3,000 feet is kind of the normal elevation of the Mojave Desert. This is not the Death Valley. Death Valley is to the east and closer to Nevada, but not far. You should know that Death Valley begins 60 miles to the east of Father Crowley Lookout. So this video I'm going to show you is only 60 miles west of the Death Valley, the infamous Death Valley. What I will tell you about all these places, whether it's Death Valley or the Mojave Desert, is it's high desert, which means extreme temperatures. In the summertime, you're looking at 112 to 116 degree temperatures during, the month of July, August. And at night, you're looking at 33 to 36 degree freezing, borderline freezing temperatures. And it's extreme. Okay, that's why no one lives there. They don't live there because it's harsh. It's the only thing that really lives there is rattlesnakes and lizards, which the Navy is dropping bombs on. They don't seem to really care about the wildlife and the critters out there. Although their website says they are concerned about wildlife and that there's over 300 species of animals out there, but they're dropping bombs on them and they're radiating them constantly every day. So I think methinks that the Navy protests too much, right? I don't think they care about people, and I don't think they care about rattlesnakes, and I don't think they care about life on the planet Earth. That's what I think. All right. So anyway, with no further ado, let's get into mining metals and military operations in Rainbow Canyon, aka Star Wars Canyon, aka Jedi Transition Canyon. All right. Do you enjoy the video? And we'll meet back after the show. It's about 7.5 minutes. Well, I think you must have got the picture there. Those planes are extremely quick, fast, maneuverable. I have a lot of experience with things that go fast, from motorcycle racing to bicycle racing, and also the SR-71 spy plane, which goes Mach 4. We know it goes Mach 4 because my friend Ed Yielding, he flew the plane from Long Beach to Baltimore, Maryland in 66 minutes. So that means the plane can go just about 3,000 miles in an hour, like 2,770 miles an hour. That's Mach 4, essentially. It's right at Mach 4. So he did that in October 1990. So we're in 2026 today, right? So you know the technology is miles ahead of everything I just showed you. Everything I just showed you is from 2018, and we're none of those planes have any real relevance anymore. We're in net-centric cognitive warfare today, net-centric cognitive neuroscience warfare. And none of these planes can contribute much to that. A little scintillation, maybe. But it's the ring cameras, your smart meters, your Fitbits, your precision medicine, your point of care, your medical doctor, your acute care hospitals. That's who your enemy is. Not the United States Navy, not the Air Force, not the Army. It's your Medicare program. Isn't that guerrilla warfare? They snuck in through the back door and they're using precision medicine and Jennifer Doudna and CRISPR Cas9 Frankenstein DNA gene editing to disable your tenets of thinking. Something that these planes cannot really do. They can blow your eardrums out. I don't know if you heard the sounds. It's quite frightening. It's very wicked. This is the kind of noises that I have in my town 16 hours a day, every day for 3.5 years. Every single day. They've never missed a day. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening, what you could have heard. And like and share my videos because I am heavily shadow banned. Take care now. Bye bye.